In this episode, we are spilling the tea on non-generic tips to help you conquer high school in all aspects. Academics, using the Rory Gilmore and Blair Waldorf mindset shifts, your social life, beating your insecurities and developing real confidence, your extracurriculars, getting into a good college by impressing your college admissions officers, finances, and so much more. People always talk about surviving high school, but why survive when you can thrive and make your teenage years memorable AF while still becoming successful? I made plenty of mistakes in high school, so as your internet older sister now in university, I sincerely hope this video helps you avoid mine so you can level the F up during school. Welcome back to Becoming DISScomfortable, a Gen Z podcast dedicated to preparing you to step into your light and become the best version of yourself. I'm your host Lila, and let's get into it. I went from having the 3 worst years of high school with low self-esteem, surrounded by toxic people, and severely lacking confidence, to living the high school dream in grade 11 and 12, becoming that girl in all aspects, and truly feeling like the main character of a popular high school movie. And I have the receipts to show for it because I documented my entire journey of getting there on my vlog YouTube channel and also my Instagram. This made me realize just how possible it is for you to do a complete 180, turn your life around, and reinvent yourself at any point in your life, by the way. So here's how you're gonna do it. Step 1, mindset shifts and study tips to become an academic weapon. Who needs male validation when you've got academic validation? No, but seriously, now that I'm in college, I wish I would have understood this sooner, because then I wouldn't have just focused on getting good grades, but also making the content actually stick in my head, because as is the core theme of this podcast, knowledge is power. And the knowledge I gained by pushing myself hard during school increased my confidence like nothing else. Education is a privilege, and prioritizing it regardless of what career path you end up choosing later in life will open up so many doors for you. And what better way to prep for your good grades era than to take inspiration from smart, iconic it girls in pop culture? The 2 that immediately come to mind are Rory Gilmore, in high school at least, and Blair Waldorf. Also the high school version of her, to be honest. Just a disclaimer before we jump in, I do not support either character's development. Both Rory and Blair did some really terrible things that we do not stand for on this podcast. So I'm only analyzing their work ethic and mindsets while they were in high school. If you're not familiar with these girls, Rory Gilmore is the main character of the show Gilmore Girls, known for being an academic weapon. You may have heard this iconic line from her:
"Who cares if I'm pretty if I fail my finals?"
And Blair Waldorf is from Gossip Girl. Her work ethic stands out considering how wealthy her family is, and also in contrast to her peers. These 2 characters have more in common than the fact that they attend private schools. One of the reasons they are able to find academic success in high school, with Rory becoming valedictorian and both of them getting into great universities, is single-handedly because of their mindsets. Their stubbornness to not settle for anything less than the success they've envisioned in their minds is what allows them to maintain laser-sharp focus and become academic weapons. The mindset shift is to straighten out your priorities and to never, ever give up on them. Rory Gilmore avoids anything that distracts her from her goals, including drama, even when she is greeted by mean girls as she begins a new private school in grade 10. Now, the same cannot exactly be said about Blair Waldorf, who is the queen of drama. However, for a rich nepo baby like her, whose parents could have easily paid her way into the best colleges, her work ethic and intense desire to succeed makes her stand out amongst her peers and is an inspiration to us all. While Blair was not a very good person, one positive about her is that she worked hard for her accomplishments. Even as someone who has the privilege to not work hard and just get everything she wants through her family's business and connections, similar to her privileged friends and classmates like Nate, Serena Vanderwoodson, Chuck, and others. Compared to them, yes, her work ethic does stand out. For example, even with all the drama and scheming, Blair had the qualifications to get into an Ivy League school of her choice. Her parents didn't have to donate a wing or gain attention from the press. That was on her own merit. She also gets an internship at W Magazine in college through her own work instead of relying on her mother to give her opportunities in Eleanor Designs, her mother's fashion company. Her mom didn't have any power over the magazines, and Blair faxed her resume over 300 times to every machine in the building just to score an interview. This iconic line from Blair tells us everything about her mindset.
You know what I just remembered? If you really want something, you don't stop for anyone or anything until you get it.
Both Rory and Blair were a force to be reckoned with when it came to their academic success during high school, and they weren't gonna let anyone or anything get in the way. So if your academic success is important to you, their mindset shifts will help you tailor your study routine to reach your goals faster. When you decide to get it done no matter what, everything standing in your way, procrastination, drama, high school bullies, crumble because you've already made up your mind. This next tip is for any girls that have big dreams and want to push themselves beyond their limiting beliefs. Inspired by the fear of being average, this is for the girls that are not afraid to fail to get something bigger in life. If you feel understimulated by your current academic program or like it's slowing you down, I would highly encourage you to push yourself by enrolling in a more rigorous academic program, such as taking AP classes if you're in the US, A-levels if you're in the UK, or the International Baccalaureate Program, aka IB. In grade 10, I decided to do something that scared the shit out of me. I applied for the International Baccalaureate Program, which meant I would have to move schools and essentially start over during my senior years of high school. And while it was anxiety-inducing at first, it ended up being the best decision of my life. Not just for my academics, but also for my social life and my confidence. While all these academic programs are good, I would recommend IB, not just because I did it, but because of the opportunities that come with it. I easily got into the university of my choice this year on my gap year because of my extracurriculars and solid academic record. IB diploma students have a much higher rate of acceptance at universities than any other students, even at Ivy Leagues such as Harvard and Columbia. Colleges love to see you pushing yourself compared to the rest of the students in your school. Let me show you how it works using 3 girls as an example: Serena, Sophia, and Mariam. Serena has an impressive 4.0 GPA, which means she gets high grades in all of her classes. But Serena's classes are mostly electives or regular courses offered within her school. She has no honors, AP, or IB classes on her transcript. Sophia, on the other hand, has a GPA of 3.8, but the majority of her classes in grade 11 and 12 are AP courses. Even though she has a lower GPA than Serena because her classes are harder, which means it's more difficult for her to get higher grades in them, her AP classes catch the eyes of admissions officers more than Serena's regular courses, simply because they show that Sophia is pushing herself more academically. And finally, Mariam has a GPA of 3.7, the lowest of all 3 girls. However, she is a student of the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program, or IB program, which is a rigorous academic program where classes are often more difficult than the regular ones offered in her school. These classes often cover college-level material, so they can also offer college credits in university, which means you can bypass some of your university class requirements. Pretty cool. IB also makes students do CAS, which stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. So Mariam is not only taking harder classes, but she's also well-rounded, as she must do artistic extracurriculars, play a sport or some form of physical activity, and she spends her time volunteering in her community to meet her CAS requirements. This makes her most likely out of the 3 girls to get into a good college because colleges hold the IB program to a very high standard, and admissions officers understand that IB students go on on to do exceptionally well at universities, as shown by statistics. Now, of course, Serena and Sophia can still stand out through their extracurriculars and accomplishments outside of school, but in general, this shows you that colleges wouldn't mind if you get slightly lower grades in harder courses, since they care more about you challenging yourself to the fullest extent academically. If you want to do IB, you should be able to find a school around you because it's an international program and it's available in 166 schools around the world. And I know there isn't a lot of advice for IB on the internet, so as an IB alumni myself, if you ever have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram or let me know in the comments. And finally, one of the most underrated tips to become naturally smart and absorb information like a sponge is to read books outside of school whenever you can. This is the easiest way to get good at essay writing and critical thinking skills without having to put much effort into your classes. I remember practically sleeping in English class during IB and still doing well, not because of intelligence, but because of my foundation, which was set from reading for years outside of school. Of course, this may not work for other classes like chemistry, biology, and math. If I wanted a good grade in those ones, I'd have to work my butt off for them. But reading basically helps you lessen your academic load, since when you read and read a lot, you naturally get better at classes such as history, English, humanities, law, which means you can spend less time on these and instead allocate your time towards the classes that you actually need to study for. Let me know if you want a video on time management or subject-specific study tips. Next up, building real confidence. What changed the game for me and finally helped me develop real, everlasting confidence during grade 11 and 12 was this specific mindset. Treating every single new school year as a chance to reinvent yourself. Instead of pigeonholing yourself and holding on to past versions of you, give yourself a clean slate and a brand new fresh start. You can always turn your life around no matter what happens. Now, the first thing with physical confidence, or what I like to call the illusion of confidence, is visuals. I went from letting my mom pick out all of my clothes, sorry mom, to developing my own style by shopping for my own. And look, as someone who doesn't really love fashion, I understand that it can be hard sometimes, but the last thing you want is for your clothes to wear you. Just before my IB classes started during grade 11, I dedicated several days to just picking out clothes, ordering them, and setting a budget for them. When my orders came, I made sure to try everything on and pre-select outfits so I wouldn't have to spend too much time on that during the school year, because things can get pretty crazy during your senior years of high school. And let me tell you, this completely transformed the way that I carried myself in front of my teachers and fellow classmates. I walked into school every day radiating confidence because I knew that I was wearing the clothes instead of letting them wear me. First of all, there is something so fun about wearing a new outfit, but also you really don't have to break the bank to make this happen. In fact, during my senior years of high school, I repeated my outfits again and again so many times without getting bored. The key is to find staple pieces. So this can be like a good pair of mom jeans that goes with every shirt you have. Or I got these black leather pants that I was able to style in various combinations because black kind of goes with everything. Getting a stylish jacket that you can throw over any outfit during spring, fall, winter, especially if you get cold like I do. Stocking up on these types of items will make your life so much easier, and you can use these clothes for years and years on end and just keep getting creative with them. You don't need to have a million clothes. Like you know, sometimes I'm sure you guys have seen people who have the budget, who have the closets, who have the luxury to be able to afford whatever they want, and yet the style still isn't there. Style and a fashion sense and class, they don't come from having a certain amount of clothes in your closet, but rather selecting the right ones. If you're watching the video episode, here's a peek into 16-year-old LYLA'S outfits for back to school during grade 11. Again, it's less about the clothes themselves and more so how they make you feel. I'll be doing a modest fashion outfits video for back to school in case case you need any outfit inspiration. It'll be out on this podcast YouTube channel, so turn on notifications with the subscribe button so you don't miss it when it comes out. Also, while you don't need to have a glamorous makeup routine during school, it is so helpful to get some basics in place that you know are gonna help you feel more put together and confident. Whether that's wearing mascara, or in my case, I learned how to curl my lashes properly, get a nice lip balm or lip gloss that enhances your features and helps you feel more put together each day you walk out of your home. Also, keep in mind that you want it to be sustainable so that you can repeat it like every day without getting tired and without spending too much time on it, because if you're a girly with academic goals, athletic goals, with other stuff going on, you need to maximize your time to get the most out of it, right? And like we mentioned, the Rory Gilmore and Blair Waldorf mindset shifts, your mindset will make or break your confidence. If you set a goal for yourself, whether that's related to academics, sports, volunteering, stick to it until the very end, and I promise you this will fuel your confidence like nothing else. So we've discussed how to reinvent yourself through artistic expression, mindset shifts, and while mindset shifts are an absolute game changer, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. Sometimes your environment can be the problem. Remember how I said I was surrounded by toxic people for the first 3 years of high school? It's because I'd gone to my feeder high school instead of actively seeking out a good community, because I was told at the time that that's all I can do and that I don't really have a choice. When you do have a choice a lot of the times. Changing schools for IB gave me access to a totally new community, whereas before I was in a school where things like drugs, smoking, toxicity, doing poorly in school were all normalized. Suddenly, in my new school, I was now surrounded by people who prioritized academics, athletics, their overall success. So I too became successful just by being surrounded by classmates like that. And no, this wasn't a private school. This is a public school. If you have tried everything, you've tried to open your mind, you've tried to make connections, and you know, it's just not working, and you feel like your environment is draining you, then maybe it's time to look into other options. Chapter number 3, your social life. I finally made real friends during my last 2 years of high school after struggling so much previously to find the right people in my life. A year and a half out of high school, these friendships are still going strong because they no longer relied on school. Your social life depends on how important socializing is to you. If you're an introvert, you can choose to spend more time alone, but understand that socializing is still an important way to make connections, and with the right people, it can make your high school experience a lot richer. Also, you can be confident and reap the rewards of being social while also being introverted. As an ambivert and someone with strong academic goals, I often found it difficult to balance socializing with school, homework, volunteering, sports, reading, and more. First of all, it is a lot. So if you're doing multiple things, please do not be hard on yourself for slacking off on something from time to time. The one thing I can tell you very confidently is that I do not regret skipping homework sometimes to go and hang out with friends. The memories I made during my senior years are the most precious things I brought out of high school. Like, I literally have zero regrets. So take lots of photos and say yes more when people are planning something around you. Whether that's going on bike rides together, taking Polaroid pictures, watching the sunset at the beach, hanging out in your room, going to restaurants and cafes and movies together. Do it all, because this is the last time you and your friends will have this much time. I know it might feel overwhelming right now, but trust me, after high school, people's schedules get even more tighter because now in college you have so many more responsibilities over your shoulders. You're considered an adult now. When my study group friends and acquaintances decided to go out after school to restaurants or cafes, or even for volunteering, I said yes as often as I could, even if I had homework, because I realized the importance of balance. If you spend all your time studying, you will go crazy and you'll probably get very burnt out. The solution is never to isolate yourself, and if anything, socializing is productive, because as humans, we are literally designed to socialize. So make it a commitment. Literally, even if you're an introvert, commit to it the way that you would commit to going to the gym to exercise, because it's literally that important for you. Now, one key lesson I wish I would have known sooner is that not everybody is your friend, and that's okay. There is a difference between acquaintances and real friends. You can study with people and even go out with them without considering them a friend. It's okay to make small talk and help each other out without the obligations of friendships. If you struggle to find genuine friends like I did during my middle and early high school years, first of all, you are not alone. It's a lot more common than you think. And also remember that your environment can sometimes be a factor in this too. I personally think learning this distinction between acquaintances/connections and friends early on will help you so much during not just high school, but university and your adult life. Because as an adult, I promise you, you will have a lot more acquaintances than friends, and that's totally fine. In fact, it's actually a good thing. Even having one or two friends, like true friends that are there for you when you need them and vice versa, are an incredible blessing. So don't take them for granted. And also, it's very possible to make good friends outside of school. During grade 11, I met a girl in my city through social media, and we made time to hang out together throughout the year. And now she's one of my closest friends. Focus on nurturing your existing friendships and relationships instead of seeking out 5, 10, 20, 30 different friends. I promise you, you only need a few high-quality friendships to feel content. Chapter 4, your extracurriculars or ECs. One of the myths that destroys so many people's college options is the belief that your academic performance is the single most important factor in getting into a good college. Wrong. Now, of course, this differs from country to country, but in many places, including the US, UK, and Canada, where I'm going to school, extracurriculars are becoming so important because colleges are assessing students holistically now. And not only this, but extracurriculars make you a more well-rounded person and help you stand out. There are so many people out there with good grades, good SAT scores. What makes you different? You become more than just a number like other students. This works for both college and job applications, and even scholarships are looking for students with strong ECs or service volunteering within their communities. So I encourage you to pick some extracurriculars outside of school and begin investing time in them if you haven't already. And if you can, try to look for some leadership roles. During high school, I volunteered on an educational website where I kind of got to act like a tutor, where I got to answer thousands of people's homework questions. My IB teachers also helped me get in touch with volunteering opportunities within my community, and I got to run a student organization called the Homeful Project, where we created care packages for food insecure individuals to help decrease poverty. As a high school student, these are some pretty big ways to make an impact within your community, and it helps you build a solid resume for jobs, scholarships, and college. For sports, I played basketball on my school's team and a little bit recreationally and club. But since I'm one of 4 kids, my parents obviously didn't have enough time to drop me off to practices, and these things can also be really expensive. So I completely understand financial or time barriers, and colleges do as well. Just do the best you can with what is available to you in your school and community. I also joined the ultimate frisbee and cross-country teams just for fun, even though I do not really like running. You don't have to be good at sports to participate in them. There are so many benefits that come with moving your body and exercising regularly, and science shows that it helps you focus better in school and potentially get better grades. I won't repeat myself since I have a whole episode on attractive hobbies to learn on my channel, which goes into detail about the best extracurriculars you can start to get ahead and stand out amongst your peers. Chapter number 5, finances. Unless you have a trust fund set up for your 25th birthday, I don't care what your strict parents or anyone has to say. Getting a job during high school is one of the most life-altering experiences you can have as a teen. Even if you come from a financially well-off family, I believe everyone should work a minimum wage job at least once in their life because it just teaches you so much about money. I was supposed to get a job in grade 9, but then COVID struck and I got stuck in Pakistan for half a year since I had been on vacation at the time. That's a story for another day. As soon as I got back, I ran to go and get a job, and during my sophomore year of high school, grade 10, I got a job and worked as a cashier at my local grocery store for 10 or 11 months before quitting for IB. This allowed me to save some money and build a little bit of capital to invest into my content creation business. I was able to buy myself a laptop, iPad, phone, microphones, tripods, ring lights. Also, going out with friends to the movies or restaurants or cafes is so much easier when you have your own money. But I think the biggest thing this did for me was allow me to taste financial freedom and become more financially literate. When you start making your own money, you become responsible for learning how to manage it. From 16 to 19, even though I was very busy with school, I got to learn how to set a budget, save, and invest my money. Before you get a job though, I would highly recommend you read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read this book at around 16 or 17, and it changed my mindset towards money forever. Oh my goodness, I just saw somebody throw a coffee cup across the road in front of me. The coffee was in it, and it just went flying across the road. Disgusting, literally disgusting. Anyways, if you're watching the video episode, please excuse the change in the background. It's so easy to get stuck and repeat the same cycle again and again once you get a job. So it's really important to consider, how long do you want to work this job? What are you going to use the money for? And is there any way you can use the money you earn to make more money besides college and life expenses? Also, one thing to note, during grade 11 and 12, the workload gets significantly harder. You have to worry about applying to college and scholarship applications, navigating the college process itself and finances. So if possible, get a job during your early teenage years, like grade 8 to 10. Even though some people will tell you it's too early for you to get a job, I promise you it's not. Or if you are in your senior years, then getting a job just for the summer should be something you can balance. If you're not doing an academic program during grade 11 and 12, then you might actually be able to manage a job on top of your studies, and that will also teach you really, really valuable time management skills. Some people start working at 15, like I did, although it is important to note that I did quit my job after a year to continue working on academics. Others start part-time during college, and some people don't even get their first job until after graduating college. So do what works best for your life goals. If financial independence is important to you, then I would strongly recommend fitting it into your high school schedule, even if just for a few months. I don't remember what chapter we're on, but the next one is to master the law of detachment and low expectations. This may sound counterintuitive, especially since I talk about dreaming big and manifesting on this channel, but hear me out. Lower your expectations. Don't expect to meet your high school sweetheart or the perfect friend group, and definitely don't center your identity on getting into a top-tier Ivy League university. The key is to be open to it. Believe that any of this can happen, that all of your desires have the potential to come true, but don't expect it. Don't put a restrictive timeline on it, and I'll explain why in a second, okay? I entered high school in grade 8 with very high expectations, expecting to immediately meet my high school sweetheart, have the best friend group in the world, and get into a good college. Oh, there's a squirrel running on the road now. That's so cute. Sorry, today is a bit of a wild day. As you can tell by recording in the car today, it is very eventful, the outside world. Anyways, all without doing any of the necessary work on myself to prepare myself to receive these things. I tried to plan out every single detail of my life to the dot. And the craziest part is that a lot of my manifestations actually did come true. But it made me realize that you need to be careful for what you wish for. That friend group I just mentioned manifested it. The potential candidate for a high school sweetheart also manifested it. But then I let go of all of them because I realized that those people were not actually meant for me. You can't predict how much you'll grow or even when this growth will take place. Some people are meant to meet their best friends during high school. For some, it happens during college, and for others, like well into their adult years, okay? The same thing applies to finding your sweetheart or soulmate. Everybody is on a different timeline. Just because you see people getting into relationships at a certain age around you doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you. If you try to force something to happen right now when it's actually meant to come into your life a little bit later, you are then limiting yourself. Also, with college and university, you may think you know what you want and where to go, but the issue is in high school, you are only able to base your imagination off of what has existed in your reality so far or has been passed down to you through others' limited experiences. The amount of stories out there of people getting rejected by their dream colleges, only to then find incredible happiness at a different school or on a different life path, is crazy. I actually know of someone who had to take a gap year because she didn't get into the college of her dreams, and while she was really sad in the beginning, it ended up being the most amazing opportunity for her because she got to work as a freelancer and build up her resume at such a young age, and then she also got accepted to a travel program later down the line where she got to go to Cape Town and made amazing friendships there. And to top that all off, she is now going to college in her dream country. See, when you don't tie expectations to something, when you don't try to control the outcome, and you simply let go, as we discussed in the How to Be Magnetic in Life and Business episode, you allow God, or if you don't believe in God, then the universe can be a stand-in for you, to prepare something incredible for you through divine timing. And this is the halal way to manifest, guys. My life completely transformed during grade 11 compared to my other previous years of high school because I had never been so detached from the outcome. For a little context, I had gone through something pretty severe before that, and as a result, when it got to grade 11, I wasn't even thinking about getting into the best schools or a sweetheart or friendships anymore. The first thing I was thinking of, I just want to live. All I was trying to do, like my goal was to just live life to the fullest, and that is exactly what ended up happening. My circumstances had forced me to find happiness not in other people, but within myself. I had to do a lot of things alone before I got to a point where I was able to go out with friends and have the best times of my life. And as a result, my life literally became like the movies. And last but not least, don't just rely on school for your education. Clearly, you're already doing this because you're listening to this podcast. If you made it to this point, by the way, comment a butterfly emoji so I know you're here. You can enrich your mind just by practicing the things we mentioned in this episode today, like reading outside of school, listening to audiobooks, and podcasts. I'll be doing a lot more videos on mindset shifts, dealing with toxic people, college, discipline, and just conquering life in general. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Or you can hit the follow button if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. And if you want to see my upcoming college diaries, morning routines, book reviews, since I know we have a lot of bookworms in the Discomfortable community, check out my YouTube vlog/books channel called VIVACIOUSLYLA. I'll link it in the description for you. You can even go back and see some of my IB high school vlogs. And if you ever need advice from your internet big sisters, join our Discord community for books, wellness, and people to grow with. The link is also in the description, and I promise I will try to be active on there. Stay smart, hot, and full of life, and I will see you in the next episode.